about water and urban places. This is Ideanthro. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ideanthro. I'm in Sydney, having just finished my trip around the regional areas of New South Wales with the help of the Central West Council's Environment and Waterways Alliance, looking at, well, what's going on in this water-sensitive urban design, water-sensitive city space out in these regional areas of New South Wales. So I had the chance to go to places like Gilgandra, Coonabarabran, Orange, Bathurst, Parkes, Dubbo, all over the shop. It's been a really good trip, and I'm really grateful to the Alliance for helping me get out there and see this stuff. Now, as I've been traveling around, a pattern has emerged. I've noticed something here that I found absolutely fascinating. So if you come out to these towns, you're not going to see as much obvious attempts to be water sensitive in the way you would see in Brisbane or Sydney or Melbourne. Less rain gardens, less of these water sensitive, these stormwater treatments items, less of what we currently perceive to be a water sensitive city. But you will definitely see some of it. And what I noticed is that what you do see and what you do find out in these regions is typically, not always, there were a few things that weren't so good, but I saw in almost every city a project that was pretty nicely done. And what I began to notice is that with these projects, the common trend that tied them together was a really clear connection between the drivers for the project, ultimately leading towards the on-ground outcome. And this is really similar to what we saw in the early days of water-sensitive urban design, in my opinion, in the capital cities around Australia. Like you go to, say, Brisbane, and you look at some of the early examples of water-sensitive urban design, like Belle Vista, like Coomera Waters. There's a really clear connection between the drivers for the project and why it got done. Belle Vista, its protection of Pumicestone Passage, and the fact that the urban design for a previous version of that development had been very expensive, led to a very good water-sensitive urban design outcome. Coomera Waters, it was protecting some very sensitive downstream environments, and so on and so forth. This very clear connection. Well, I've seen that same pattern happening out in these regional areas, and I think this is really important to dwell on and consider for a minute in the context of, well, more broadly then, we're trying to implement water-sensitive urban design wider, more commonly onto lots of new development. And sometimes we're not seeing that connect through and deliver quite the outcomes we might have originally envisaged or promised. So it's worthwhile considering, well, yeah, that really distinct connection between drivers leading to the outcome, it might really need to be there. It might not be enough just for legislation to say, hey, get to a water sensitive outcome. Maybe it needs to be more explicit. Maybe that connection between the driver and the outcome is really one of the key things we need. So to make this point, in this episode and in the two that will follow, we are going to look at a couple of those projects. So the first one, in this episode, we are going to visit Dubbo. In the second episode, we are going to the town of Parkes. And in the third episode, we're going to Orange. So let's get into it. So Dubbo, what was the site that I saw in Dubbo? Dubbo, the site was Caltex Park. So essentially, it's the city's main football field. It's, a grandstand. It's a quality football playing field. The intent is it's the site for the town's top matches, and also has the ability to draw major, as I understand it, major NRL matches and the like to the town. So it's got to be a high quality playing field, just a high quality venue in general. Well, in this instance, the pitch was recently redeveloped. I say recently, a few years ago. And by the way, thank you to Wes Giddings at Dubbo Council for showing me around, giving me a bunch of the info that I'm now going to relay to you. So Caltex Park, recently, a couple of years ago, there was the need to redevelop the field, and several opportunities were identified at the same time to tie this in and make it water sensitive. The first one here, the really logical one, was, look, there's a big old trunk stormwater drain running just nearby. To have a quality football field, you need water, you need consistency of supply, even in times of water restrictions and drought. Big trunk main running past, okay, let's harvest the stormwater. More than that though, it was recognised that some of the downstream drainage areas in Dubbo would benefit from taking a bit of pressure off the drainage system. This may have already been to some degree happening at this site. I'm a little bit uncertain of the timings here, but the site also acts as a flood detention basin. So, small rainfall events, not going to fill up. But in a big rainfall event, water will actually surcharge out onto the playing field itself and fill up the playing field. And so it's a really good outcome. It's neat if you didn't get told about it or shown it or read interpretive signage. You wouldn't know any of this, right? It gets irrigated with harvested stormwater. The treatment stuff's in a little shed to the side that you wouldn't otherwise notice. The pitch is in great condition. The storage tanks are all underground. So the storage tanks start a few meters past the end goal area. It extends through the in goal area and about 10 meters into the field of play. Apparently they're like about 3 meters deep underneath the ground. So it's just this, it's a beautifully integrated outcome that makes sense because you have a use for water, you have a potential supply of water running straight past, you have a need for flood detention, you have a potential space that can do flood detention. It all fits together nicely. And as a result, the project, to my eyes, has come together really well. So this is our first example of water-sensitive urban design in the regions going really clearly from drivers through to the end outcome, and people getting a good outcome and a good project, and I like it. So well done. Okay, that was the first example. Tune in next time where we go to parks, and we will look at a linear park corridor that was previously quite degraded, and council has done wetland rehabilitation works and in the process activated that park. Sweet. Keep an eye out for that episode, but for now, we'll see you later.
Before you go, our best episodes come from your questions. This knowledge base, these discussions that are Ideanthro improve with your contribution. So if there's a topic, an idea, a concept that you would like us to explore, come and ask us. You know where to find us. www.ideanthro.com/contact. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and that place you get your good podcasts from. You know where to find us. We look forward to hearing from you. We'll see you soon.